The first step today in Project Crystal is to make a hypothesis about what you predict the answer to our research question will be. As you may remember from the last session, your research questions are: will there be more caterpillars eaten by birds on plants with adaptation 1 or plants with adaptation 2? And those adaptations were chosen specifically by you. A hypothesis is a prediction about what you think the answer to your research question will be based on what we already know about a system. There is a specific process that we follow when we make a hypothesis. Before we jump into making a hypothesis for your research question, we can use an example from another study here at Crystal Cove State Park to practice. A few years ago, we were trying to restore an area of Crystal Cove State Park back to coastal sage scrub by planting the seedlings or baby plants of native coastal sage scrub species. But when we were walking around the area, we noticed that there were a lot of rabbit droppings. So we were worried that the rabbits, who are herbivores or plant eaters, might eat the seedlings before they got big enough to survive. We wondered if maybe the seedlings would have a better chance to grow and survive if we put fences up around them to keep the rabbits out. In order to test if this was true or not, we asked the question, where will more seedlings survive? In areas with fences or in areas without fences? To make a hypothesis to answer this question, we followed a specific format. Part 1 is if. Here you describe what you would do to test our hypothesis. Part 2 is then. This is where you describe what we think will happen in our experiment. Finally, part 3 is because, and then you want to describe why you think that will happen. So our hypothesis that year was that if we planted some seedlings with fences and some seedlings without fences and see how many survive, then we predict that more of the seedlings in the fenced areas would survive because in the unfenced areas, the rabbits would be able to get to the seedlings and eat them. Go ahead and move on to the next slide to see what our hypothesis would look like with this sentence frame. Then you can go ahead and look back at the models that you made in session 3 and see if you can make your own hypothesis for your research question.